But back to this. So Dale and I are in Connie in a time when there is no mechanical emphasis, no one promoting it. Right, keep going.
Yeah. And so I ended up in Connie Mechanical because the company that you and I both worked for, I was just trying to get a summer job related to engineering. Ended up there and ended up liking what I was doing. I didn't grow up in a construction company or family. Growing up, I wanted to be either an engineer or a farmer, and I didn't have any ground to inherit or anything like that. So that's
out.
So plan B is the backstop. So go into engineering. So I was undeclared, and then really liked what I was doing, and it's construction related, mechanical. And then I found out there's an engineering degree. I didn't even know there was a Connie program.
Oh, I didn't either when I came here.
So you should look into construction engineering. Well, what's that?
That's a thing.
And then all of a sudden they have a mechanical. It's like a degree that was put together like that perfectly matched what I loved doing during this summer job that I had, and so everything fell into place for me like that. But my family is not in the construction industry whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so everybody kind of ends up, everyone's path is a little different. A lot of people in construction engineering, maybe not all, but quite a few of them, it's common to have their dad owns a construction company.
Oh, yeah. If you look at our students,
genetics, there's some construction
in
the family in some way, shape, or form.
A vast majority. I bet maybe not majority anymore, but probably half of the students probably have family or something in. I mean, there's a reason they came into construction. They had to be looking for it. Like I was not looking for. I came out of the Navy, operating a nuclear reactor on a submarine. Came to Iowa State on officer program, and I started mechanical engineering because it seemed to make the most sense. Right? I get it. Mechanical engineering, boat full of mechanical stuff. That's what I'll major in. And then after like a year and a half probably a year and a half or 2 years of being in the ME department. And you got to understand, this was the 90s. The advising was really bad. Like the generic, like big picture Marston and the ME department advising, it was bad. You know, the whole thing where you go to get advising in Marston, this is way before the remodel. You went to the advising office and you know at the DOT where you pull a number? That was advising. You went in there and you pulled a number and you waited. And they're like, all right, number 30. That time that kid moved on. He had class to get to. 31, you know, and you go up. And so you talk to some advisor that didn't know anything about you and didn't even believe you'd make it through. Yeah. Didn't even believe you'd ever actually become a mechanical engineering student, much less, you know, because you had to get through the pre-ME stuff. You know, they're like, here, you should take some of these classes. Here's some sheets to look at, whatever. You know, I don't really care. I got my thesis to write, so just go on about your business. You know, so after that, for about a year and a half, I was like, this sucks. I'm going to do something else. And I go into the office there after pulling my ticket, meeting advisor. I'm like, hey, I need my folder because back then, Dale, back me up on this, you actually had a folder with everything that is you in it.
A physical folder.
A physical folder, right? No electronic copies of anything. So you get this physical folder, and they're like, which major are you going to? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to walk around campus till I find one. You know, and they're like, fine, you know, get out. So I go, I don't know, somehow I pick civil engineering. You know, and I walk in the door of civil engineering. I go to the front office. I find it finally because, it's, you know, in town engineering, it's not easy to find where the front office is. And I go to the secretary there. I'm like, hey, I think I want to switch majors. Is there somebody I could talk to about this? And they're like, yeah, Lowell's got some time here. He's not doing anything right now. Why don't you just go on into his office? And I walk into his office, and it's Lowell Grumman, or Greiman. You remember the department chair back in the 90s? I was like, wait a minute. I look on his, as I'm walking in the office, it says department chair. And I was like, serious? You know, and I go in and I start talking to him, and he's like, hey, you want to switch majors, huh? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, what kind of joke is this, right? Am I getting punked or something? You know, I'm talking to the department chair, and I just walk in. I hadn't even talked to a mechanical engineering professor yet. So I go in there, and I'm talking to him. He's like, well, what do you want to do? And at that time, I was an aspiring Marine officer candidate, and I was wanting to be a Marine. He goes, you know what? We'd love to have you in civil, but I think you'd be better suited in construction engineering. And I'm like, what is construction engineering? That's a thing. He's like, yeah, oh yeah. Here, hold on a second. And he grabs the phone, calls up. It was who was the professor in charge back then?
Oh,
You know
he was
whom?
my advisor.
Rowings.
Rowings, yeah.
Jim Rowings.
Jim Rowings.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, hey, Jim's up in his office. Go up there and talk to him. And I'm like, okay. And I go up. I'm like, well, this is really weird. I'm talking to like actual faculty members that are real professors. And I go up, and on my way up there, I was like, I really don't care what they're teaching. I'm just going to switch. I didn't even care what they were teaching. I'm like, I can talk to real humans, and this is crazy. I'm just staying. Whatever they teach me is fine. So I talked to Rowings. I'm like, okay, you sold me. Construction it is. I had no idea what any of it was.